As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Don't forget to feed the pigeons. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Don't forget those who want peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others. Think of those who only have clouds to drink from. As you go home, your own home, think of others. Don't forget those who live in tents. Words of wisdom and understanding delivered by the Palestinian national poet Mahmoud Darwish, who was exiled for 26 years and became a symbol for the Palestinian struggle. Darwish could have spoken words of hatred and violence. Instead, he chose an alternative path. He invited his nation and he invited the world to take responsibility and to weigh the results of actions taken on the ground in a real, human way. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shorouk Badr, and I am a Palestinian. I come from a peaceful village right outside of Bethlehem called Batir. My grandmother's family were forced to leave their village of Beit Natif. Beit Natif was a small village located to the north of Hebron, now completely destroyed. After she and the rest of her family left, they had to settle in what became the Palestinian refugee camp of Dheisheh. My grandmother, whom we call Sarah, an 80-year-old woman, still holds on to the key of her house. She's from that village, and she has memories. She once told me that she dreams to see the birthplace, her birthplace, one last time. Just like my grandmother, I'm very attached to where I grew up. The village of Batir has a beautiful landscape with valleys, mountains, and rivers. There's a train that passes through the village, connecting the Israeli cities of Jerusalem and Haifa. But it doesn't stop. This train doesn't stop in my village, but this was not the case. This train always sparked a huge sense of curiosity in me. When I was little, I would often walk down to the valley just to watch it pass by. I would take a poetry book, a pencil, and a piece of paper. I could never see into the train as it raced by, and so I would draw images of passengers that formed in my head. I would then read short stories and poems written by Mahmoud Darwish and Ghassan Kanafani, and travel with my poets and passengers on the train in my imagination. This fed my childhood dreams and desires that one day I would be able to get on this train and travel to Akka, Haifa, Carmel, to all those destinations. But that was never possible. I was never able to go to those places. I was never given a permit because we all grew up trapped and isolated from the Israeli society. For many, many years, the only Israelis I saw were soldiers with guns at checkpoints. The Second Intifada, or what we call the Second Palestinian Uprising, formed my earliest understanding of the conflict. Schools would shut down for months and months, and Palestinian families starved and suffered, as curfews would last for days and days. I was told never to leave the house alone. My mother knew I was stubborn. Eventually she would give in, and she would say, Shorouk, Allah ma aknakish, meaning, Shorouk, God could never convince you. One Tuesday morning, after a curfew that lasted for 9 days, I decided that I had enough. I left the house to go to school. I got as far as a little town called Al-Khadr. The main roads were blocked, and so I decided to take a little trip through the vine tree fields. I felt the air was unusual, but I couldn't care. I wanted to get to school. A guy came from behind and whispered to me. He said, hide, quick hide. So we headed for a nearby vine tree. A few minutes later, I heard bullets and tear gas bombs. My eyes were stinging and streaming, and I was crying with pain. A clash broke out between Israeli soldiers and Palestinian youth. I tried to relax myself, but I couldn't endure the smell of those tear gas bombs. I was only in 4th grade. A man noticed me. He put me on his back and ran across with me to the other side of the fine tree field. I didn't notice much of the surrounding. I didn't even take in the face of the guy. I knew he's Palestinian because I noticed his dialect. When we got to the other side, I was shocked. I look at him and I see his arm was bleeding. He shouted at me. I didn't have time to think or thank him. He shouted at me and he said, "Run, run, and never look back." I kept running, and after I reached a safe corner, I realized that my Palestinian friend, my Palestinian unknown friend, has saved my life. My childhood adventure in grade 4 sums up the fear, the trauma of growing in a conflict zone where you can't escape, but risking your own life. I felt frustrated so many times. I could have chosen to blame, to hate, or complain. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I wanted to act, to take initiative, and change the reality on the ground. So, to make my dream of traveling to new worlds come true, 7 years later, I participated in the Department of State Youth Exchange program called the YES, and I spent 1 year of high school in Atlanta, Georgia, away from the Middle East. After I came back to my home country, I decided it was important, just as important, to get to know the other side. And so, I dropped out of my high school, my Palestinian local school, and I applied to the American International School. And I became the first ever Palestinian to attend this mostly Israeli high school. There, as you might imagine, I was exposed to many Israelis. And I went through a transformation after I discovered their narrative of the conflict. I was hosted by an American-Israeli host family, and we would often engage ourselves in political discussions. Many Israelis I met also shared stories of suffering. From my experience in Israel, I learned that both nations are fed up. We're all fed up. We all want an urgent change. And that's why I joined the New Story Leadership Program, to meet young Israelis and young Palestinians who are willing to push themselves outside of their comfort zones, to listen to each other with delight, to make a difference. Today, I invite you to think of us as leaders who want an alternative to bloodshed and violence. As part of my NSL experience, I interned in the office of Congressman Paulus from Colorado, and it's been such a rewarding experience. I've been learning about lobbyists, about the US government and its policies regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. What I learned since I joined this program is that the Israel-Palestine conflict does not only involve two parties, but three: the Palestinian, the Israeli, and the American. Unfortunately, it saddens me to say that the US has not always played a part that I can support and has not held Israel accountable to laws accepted by the international community. Dok el-hadid huwa sukhun. Strike while the iron is hot, we say in Arabic. The Israel-Palestine conflict is urgent, and we can't afford any more delays. America believes in equality. America believes in liberal values. One of your greatest sons, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." The US role as an honest broker must be to hold Israel accountable to international law and objectively help both sides to negotiate. This would contribute to the stability of the Middle East, and this would contribute to the stability for the State of Israel. Choosing sides only emphasizes the idea of us versus them. It separates people rather than uniting them. Be patient with us. We need your support. We need your support to accomplish our goals and aspirations. Please don't ever, ever give up on us. It's a long way from the US Congress back to that little girl watching a speeding train go through her village and dreaming that one day that train will stop again. That train one day will stop for me. That one day I will travel to Haifa, Akka, Carmel, to Tel Aviv, and to the world. The dreams of that little girl are still mine. I have grown to learn that I have to turn my dreams into a reality, that I must refuse to let anyone limit me or my generation, that I must believe peace is possible. We have had 4 weeks together. It's been a special journey, a challenging journey, an intense journey. But it's not about here. It's about what we can do when we go back to our countries. It's about working together, side by side, so that that train of hope and opportunity that I once saw in Batir would stop again, would stop for me, for you, for everyone, for the world, to share the same journey that I shared with you today. Thank you.